Hi there. Today I'm going to talk about how I did Optimus Prime with mostly cardboard, using a lot of hot glue, poster board, my glue, which is wood glue plus flour. It's something we've figured out while making this. Some sheet metal from ducks. First of all, this helmet was made long before I really had good experience with cardboard, so it's kind of rudimentary, but essentially you make a crown for the shape of the head that you would be using. In this case, this is my son. This is the beginning of the side panels. You kind of have to use your imagination and be sure to keep the piece before you cut the other one so that you have a mirror image. As you can see, we've glued it on here. Lots of clamps. Clamps help tremendously when you're gluing. Lots of clamps. They're pretty cheap. So here you can see we're putting the other side of the head on. As I said, you want to keep your templates so you can mirror them exactly. I would have reinforced this more around the crown had I known what I was doing. These are the side panels that we put on the side. Eventually they'll be trimmed down to a different shape. As you can see here, they're being positioned to make the vents for Optimus's head. More structure underneath for support. Here they are pretty much in place. And then kind of a test fit, just to see how it looks. Looks a little large, so we did some adjustments to it, and we trimmed them down, gave them the more spiked look rather than the thickness in the back. Here's this poster board. I got it at Wal-Mart. It's like kind of a waxy side on one side and not waxy on the other. You want to put the waxier side outside. When you paint it, the paper won't absorb. You can see it's got a grid on it. Here we're making the vents for the front of the helmet. As you can see here, this is the back on the left side and the front on the right. Made a little box with vents, and here you can see the vent in place on the left side. And like I said, the wax, it's not really wax, but I guess it's kind of just a shinier finish on one side of the poster board. That's the side you want outside. Here we're closing up the crown. Once again, this was my first attempt at this, and I wasn't quite as experienced as I am now. I probably would have used more panels to make it a smoother finish. This isn't too bad, but you can see where that piece in the front there is kind of bowed out because of the pressure. This is inside. All the hot glue really holds it together. Add cardboard when you can to fill spots to make things stronger. All it takes is just a strip of cardboard, and you can cut that. I got my cardboard at Costco, where their toilet paper is. You can get lots of cardboard, and it's all the same style, which is really handy. Here you can see we're making the Mohawk, reinforcing it, adding some of the textures. Here's the inside of the Mohawk. Let's see where I reinforce that. Side view of the Mohawk, and you can see the hot glue starting to be in position to really hold it together. Like I said, Costco had lots of slip sheets that comes between the paper towels, and that was a good place. This is a temporary mask in the front, the vent in the front, just for placement to kind of see how it looks. I did this part 6 months before I actually completed the whole costume. This is the wood glue and flour mix that I used. We covered it in the round part and then sanded it down. Reflector. I noticed one day I was taking a picture and the reflectors were always lit. So I grabbed a couple of reflectors. It was a little tricky, but I cut them down to be the shape of his eye, and I actually had to go through this several times because they shatter if you're not careful. This is before I cut the eye holes out. This was just for testing placement. You'll notice now the sheet metal, and yes, that's a Murloc in the upper left, another costume. That's sheet metal for the vent. Here we're placing the chest, taking a look and seeing how it, making sure it clears all of his shoulders and everything like that. Putting the chest together. The cardboard is done by sandwiching 4 pieces together in opposite directions. So the corrugation goes one direction, then the other, then the other, then the other. You sandwich one huge piece together, then you cut the shapes you want. So that's why it's so thick, because it's made of 4 sheets of cardboard. Once it's together, you can cut it pretty easily. You definitely want to cut it after you've glued it. We've painted the helmet blue. It was black before, that was primer, and now it's blue. Here's me being myself. And this is this is the arm hole. It's got a hole there, and then it goes straight down. The this is the shoulder, and that curved part will actually fit into the hole of the torso. Here I'm showing how I'm about to slide it in place, and the next frame will show you in place. The little tabs there are to keep the shoulder locked in place. It doesn't come off of the front, but it does spin in place. That way his shoulders can spin forward or backwards. That is the bicep area that slides into the shoulder, like that. The two biceps pieces, that was a little tricky and they didn't stay in place real well. It's kind of a picture of what I've got so far. The grill is made of a piece of mesh and some foam. Here my other son is weathering the helmet, making it look a little more used and damaged, adding stuff with a black paint marker and a silver paint marker, and then basically a lot of washed out acrylic. It's kind of a typical method for making things look darker in the corners and dingier. Here's the vents on the front crown, kind of a placement, seeing how things looked with the forearms in place. The shoes were two separate pieces of wood attached to some high heel boots, because typically robots have longer legs, so we wanted to give them longer legs. The foot actually moves in two separate pieces, so that it can actually, his toes and his back of his feet are articulated essentially, so that there's no he's not clomping around like in snow boots. Here's kind of a picture of a preliminary shot before painting, before adding the poster board to the whole thing. Shot of the reflective pieces. From here it starts speeding up really fast because we were really behind on time. This is where we start putting the poster board around everything before painting. Poster board really smooths it up. And the next piece will be the torso. This took a long time, adding all these little bits of poster board, but it was worth it in the end. Here's a finished piece of the leg with the canister and some wheels. Those wheels were really heavy, which in an afterthought I probably should have gone with something lighter, because it made the legs really heavy. He's got blue tint now covering his pupils, and here you've got basically the torso, or the chest. That's sheet metal down the bottom. Here's a full picture of him, kind of blurry, sorry. I wish I had more video and pictures, but I don't. So a couple more shots of him as it was done. Like I said, I didn't get very good pictures, and I apologize for that, but here's where that bicep was falling out of place, like I said. But overall, the costume looked really good. Got a lot of reviews. For a 12-year-old, he was quite the Optimus Prime. So hope you enjoyed.